Hello, welcome. This is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan coming to you with my regular Friday live stream. Aloha to everyone who is here right now. So I see all the regulars are here, so I don't need to explain to you guys what this is all about. But for people who are tuning in later on after the fact, this is where we get together every Friday, this exact time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we talk about any and all things vegan. So if you're vegan, vegetarian, vegan, veg, curious, plant-based curious, you've come to the right place. Ask questions. We're a really friendly and evidence-based, knowledgeable bunch of people here, and we're pretty nice too. None of us are gonna like bite your head off or anything like that. And if you're not vegan, if you're vegan curious, just watch and learn, and just like I said, you're welcome here. We're not like we don't believe that we are morally superior to everyone else, and we'll tell you that you're a piece of crap or something like that. I mean, some vegans are like that. A lot of meat eaters are like that too. So it's just a personality trait, not an attribute of eating plants or anything like that. Also, too, if you are not vegan and you're not vegan curious in any way. In fact, you think what I am doing or what we are doing is somehow bad, wrong, destructive, unhealthy, or what have you, state your case. I provide this also as a forum for people to try to convince me to not be vegan. So that's kind of part of tonight's live stream's title. Eating meat is weird. Yeah, I think I got that from you, Sarah. I mean, I think I've seen it around before, but eating meat is weird. So yeah, prove me wrong. If anyone thinks I'm crazy for thinking eating meat is weird, state your case, be polite, and we can probably have a friendly conversation about it all. Again, this is not a debate bro channel. It's not even a debate channel. I know there's a lot of debate channels out there, not necessarily vegan ones, but there are. This is not one of those. If anything, it's a critical thinking channel, but that's not what we're all about or anything like that. But yeah, we're based in critical thinking. So we can talk about things in a critical thinking manner, and we'll see where that takes us tonight. So yeah, Sarah, good to see you back, late model. Yeah, we didn't have any. What happened last week, guys? I don't think we had too much shenanigans. I think one person pissed me off. I think I dropped an F-bomb that I probably shouldn't have. I apologize for that. Remember, I'm a human with emotions, and some days I'm a little more emotional than others, I guess. But it was a pretty chill week. I don't remember anything too crazy happening last week. Hey, random stuff with Vicky. Hello from the UK. Awesome. I'm glad you're able to stay up late with us because I know it's late out there. Happy to be able to join again live. Thanks to insomnia. Hey, your insomnia is my benefit, our benefit, that you can join our chill, happy, fun community here of fellow chill vegans and stuff. Let's see. Uncle, did I enjoy the game last week? Which the game are you talking about? Was there a game? Was it did I go watch NBA after that? I mean, I've been pulling for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm a big Alex Caruso fan, and I really dig their defense. No offense to any Indiana Pacers fans or anything out there. Is that what you're talking about there, Uncle? Yeah, it was sad that they lost last night at literally the last second. Like Halliburton, once again, he's done this twice so far. So he did a third time in the finals. They came from behind and literally hit a jump shot with the clock, the end of the game clock going off. So yeah, he did it again. So he can't do that forever. But anyway, yeah, it'll be an interesting series for anyone who's interested in basketball. I have no horse in the race, as they say. It's not a totally vegan expression, but none of these are my teams. I just appreciate good basketball, and I really think the way Oklahoma runs their defense and their offense, for that matter, is quite impressive. Let's see. So anyway, what's going on there, vegan metalhead? I can take a break from watching a video of a 20-year-old who weighed 609 pounds. That last number wasn't a typo. Wow, you were just watching that? Wow, that's really wild. Yeah, Peter, I looked into those basketball shoes and they still don't have them in my size. Until I got an email saying you should act quickly and get the shoes, and they weren't there when I clicked. So I don't know if they just had a little shipment, or was that the big June shipment they were talking about? So I guess I'll ask them again. But I have been back to the Zero Shoes website a couple times since last Friday just to check on the off chance. I even looked at that weird yellow color that I hate. I just want the black shoes. But yeah, I still don't have them. I really want to get a hold of those shoes because they look really fun to try for basketball. So, and hello, AJ. Good to see you, AJ. Allison, watch a video about MK Ultra, that project supposedly where like the CIA was getting what's that? Giving people drugs, basically psychedelic drugs. Yeah, late model. Yes, I can get an alert. I did. If I wasn't already, I made sure that I would get an email from the shoe company whenever they got some more. And that's how I got tipped off that I should go look at the website like a week or so ago. But apparently, I don't know. You have to go look at it like, like their Taylor Swift concert tickets, like they're gone like that or something. I had no idea. Just thought, there's shoes, but I don't know what's going on. Are they like so popular? They're not making enough? Probably a little bit of both. I don't know. That's cool. I'm glad their shoe seems to be a success, their basketball shoe. And Nikki, thank you for being a member for 14 months, and thanks for coming to the Chillin' with Love Spirals premiere the other day. Yeah, we I think I have it open in this tab right here. I know some of you guys couldn't make it, but yeah, we did a Chillin' with Love Spirals where we showed we talked a bit about our latest creation, Boss Mode, which surprisingly a lot of you guys are totally enjoying. We weren't sure how that song was going to go down, if it was too poppy or too weird for our listeners, but no, people are digging it, so that's cool. It just shows me I shouldn't worry too much about being too weird. I don't think I can get too weird with my music. Anyway, but thanks for everyone for coming. It was good to see you guys there for that. Let's see. Peter, Ask Nobody's been making minimal basketball shoes. What's that, Peter? Someone else is doing it too? Yeah, it's like a concert, Sarah. And how was your concert last Friday? We missed you, but cool. Yes, I'm glad you had something fun and cool to do. I didn't know you guys had an airport in your hometown too. Your little hometown there in Oregon. I didn't think it was big enough for an airport, but I saw. You can fly straight to your hometown from towns here in California. Not to say I'm going to come stalk you or anything like that. Let me adjust my light here. It's off by a little bit. Uncle, Blackpink is going to be at the Inglewood SoFi Stadium. Oh man, place is way too big. I'm not a Blackpink fan. I don't hate them or anything. I've heard some stuff that's all right, but yeah, it's not my that's the cool thing about K-pop. There's just so many different bands, so many styles, and there's odds are, seriously, I don't care who you are, there is a K-pop band out there that will fit what you're into. You might not even think it or know it. Trust me, you just have to be exposed to it. And if you're not looking for it, you might not find it. But I'm telling you, no matter what kind of music you're into, except for maybe metal type stuff or something, no, I don't think they've really done too much with that. But as far as like going off on that kind of like rock metals kind of branch of music, there'll be something for all you guys. I bet. I'm making a prediction there. Let's see him. You made it early to a live stream. Totally. Let's see. Goose. I've heard of Black Keys. I've never heard of Goose before, and I've never heard of Leon Bridges. I'm totally out of it. I don't know too much about like music that's not coming out of like Asia lately. Korea, and to a lesser extent, like Japan, and even a lesser extent like China or something like that. But anyway, we have our Phil bro here. Eating meat weird is a subjective statement, not based on objective paradigm. Therefore, you're wrong. Are you serious with that, or are you joking? Can you tell me what an objective statement is? If anything, I think you mean to be saying I'm making an empirical claim. Is that what you mean to be saying? I'm not sure what a subjective. I mean, yeah, it's an opinion. I'm giving you my opinion that eating meat is weird. So if you want to try to convince me otherwise, prove me wrong, I'm open, but don't play with the semantics here. Because earlier you said eating meat is earlier when you made your first comment before the live stream, you said an objective statement. Now you changed it to a subjective statement. So you're kind of going back and forth there, but I don't give a crap about that. But if you want to try to convince me that I'm wrong, rather than play with semantics, I'm all ears. But we're not going to do semantic games here. If you want to try to convince me that eating meat is totally awesome and great and bitchin', go for it, you know? So I'm down. If you want to, that's what, you know, if you, that's what, if you want to go down that road, we can go down that road. But I'm not going to play semantic games. 10 out of 10 vegans say that eating meat is weird. Yeah, bitchin'. I don't know what kind of proposition he's going to put out there. Eating meat is cool, or bitchin'. I don't know, just whatever. Some kind of pro eating meat point. That's what I'm getting at. You know, bitchin', whatever. Hey, Jordan, vegan, 16. Awesome. Thanks for the super chat tip. You said you know someone who is vegan and watches our videos. His name is Steve. Hey, Steve. Awesome. I'm glad you're watching our videos. If you're a friend of Jordan's, I'm guessing you might be around the same age group. So cool. You know, I'm such an old dude, so I'm glad that younger people, even if you're not around Jordan's age, you're probably a lot younger than me. I'm glad people a lot younger than me can get something about what I'm saying here, because I think my message is pretty, you know, non-age oriented. Maybe I'll use some old words like bitchin' sometimes, but even that, you know, that shouldn't prevent people from watching our channel, no matter if you're 16 or 26, 36 or 46. So anyway, we have our contender to try to convince me that eating meat is bitchin' or cool. So let's see your argument here. Opinions are subjective. What may be weird to you may not be weird to others. Okay, so that's all you're trying to tell me. You're trying to say I might not find it weird. I'm sorry, I find eating meat weird and you don't find it weird. So that's it. That's all you got to tell me. You're just like, you know, we'll agree to disagree on that. So, all right, cool. If that's your best argument, all right, that's where we got to end that. Oh, he's 56. Okay, he's my age, basically. And the owner of the sanctuary's husband. Oh, cool. Awesome. So, yeah, as I said, I think our content, that proves it's universal. You're 16. And the person you're referring to that watches us is 56. So awesome. Proves my point there. That our content is for all people who are, you know, into, you know, evidence-based veganism. But thanks again for the super chat, Jordan. Much appreciated. It's good to see you back here. I know it's Friday, still your day that you go to the sanctuary.
Thanks for the tip.
All right, send him the vid. Let him know, Jordan, that I gave a shout out to Steve. Steve, thanks for watching, Steve. Totally awesome. I'm glad to see a fellow Gen Xer watching our content here. Awesome. Is it objective? We don't need to get into objective versus subjective. I mean, let's just talk about it. Is eating meat weird? You know, let's just paint a picture here, and you can throw a counterpoint at me. But eating meat involves typically breeding an animal into existence. Not always, but you know, 99% of the animals that people eat are intentionally bred into existence for profit. So a company can raise an animal in an exploitative manner, typically its entire and artificially shortened life, only to have it be abruptly ended in a slaughterhouse so you can have a steak. The point is why that's weird is because look how horrific and gross and exploitative. There's nothing good to be said out there. A company's trying to make money off the bodies of sentient beings that don't have enough rights to protect themselves. That's what vegans are sticking up for. To eat a food that you don't need to eat. That's why it's weird. That is my argument. So I don't think we have to play this objective subjective game here. That's my argument. It's weird because of the following reasons. It's absolutely unnecessary to eat meat, dairy, or eggs, or any animal products. If it were necessary, I would be dead by now after 14 and about 14 and a half years at least of not having any of those things. And it's weird because why would you intentionally, since premise one I just said there that it's absolutely unnecessary to eat animal products, since premise one is just a fact, you can't dispute that. premise too is then why intentionally have an animal be bred into existence, live a shortened life, have its life abruptly terminated in a slaughterhouse to eat a food you don't even need. So if eating meat isn't weird, you would have to say that, exploitation is totally cool. Cruelty and exploitation are totally fine because eating meat is totally fine. So anyway, what do you want to say? Hey, AJ, thank you so much for the weekly cult news, because yes, we are a cult here. Vegans are a cult. I know people like to say that, and most vegans run from that, but I'm owning it. Vegans are a cult because I am the vegan cult leader. It turns out you guys didn't know that. It's a lot of responsibility keeping this whole vegan thing together. I don't know how they did it before I was handed the throne, the job duties of and responsibilities of being the world's vegan cult leader. It's a lot of work, but it's for the animals, so I'm doing it. Yes, embrace the cult. It is the best cult ever. And reading some of the comments here. Alicia says eating meat is domination over other sentient beings. That's what I'm pointing out. So, yeah, I think eating meat is weird because I find it weird to find it that some people find it totally awesome, bitchin', totally cool, totally beautiful to exploit animals for their entire lives, abruptly end it at a slaughterhouse so you can have a hamburger or a steak sandwich or whatever. That to me is weird. How is that not weird? I mean, weird. I guess the title of my live stream is a little ambiguous. Weird doesn't have a precise meaning like, oh yeah, that is definitely weird. That is definitely not weird. You know what I'm saying? It's not like 2 + 2 = 4. It's not like that kind of statement. Weird is, subjective, but I was trying to have some humor with the title. I wasn't trying to make a big philosophical statement or anything like that, but it should, it got you here. It's clicking. So anyway, Parth, you don't think eating meat is weird? Yeah, and as Sarah points out, of course you don't, Parth. You're not vegan. Makes perfect sense that you say that. Yeah, of course you're going to justify your behaviors and not find anything wrong with the morality of intentionally raising an animal into existence to have it exploited its whole life and have it slaughtered so you can have a burger or a steak. Of course you can't find that weird. And thank you for buying a vegan cult member shirt there, Anonymous. Step up if you're here and bought that shirt. Let us know if that was you. Thanks for buying one of our tees. Yeah, I think it was dirty, the vegan cult member shirt. I think I wore it last Friday. But if you're a vegetarian, so of course, okay, I mean, still, if you're a vegetarian, I'm not sure, that's kind of a broad term. It could mean you eat a variety of different animal products while abstaining from meat. But I mean, if you're cool, if you think it's totally not weird to exploit a sentient being so you could derive a benefit from it, while a company derives monetary benefit from its body and flesh, I guess we look at the world quite differently. Let's see. Kravish, yeah, good point. Yeah, it's culturally normal in most of the world to eat meat. Absolutely. I'm not denying that. So in that sense, it's not out of the ordinary, but there's lots of things that fit in that same bill. Yeah, just because something is practiced by, say, a majority of people doesn't make that right. That's a fallacy in reasoning. That's the appeal to popularity fallacy. It just basically says, hey, if say a certain percentage or a majority of people believe something to be true, a proposition to be true, like animals are here for us to be our food. If a majority of people believe that to be true, it doesn't make that proposition true. Just because a certain amount of people believe it, so it doesn't change anything about the proposition. So anyway, yeah. Hey, Bill's here. Awesome. Good to see you, Bill. Felix says, we're the cult, yet it's the meat eaters who all use the same tired excuses from the standard bingo card. They have a lot of programming to shed. Totally. Seeking Health, you bought the t-shirt. Awesome. Thanks for supporting our channel. And that shirt is cool. I love wearing my vegan cult member and vegan cult leader shirts. Sometimes I forget to have them on. I'll put them on like right before this live stream, like vegan cult member. And then this one, praise Satan. And then I'll often just go to bed wearing this shirt. It's pretty clean. I just put it on. And then I'll go out like say Saturday and I'll forget what I have on. And sometimes I get some weird looks, not like mean looks, but just kind of like confused looks. I go, oh yeah, I'm wearing my vegan cult member shirt. They're probably going, what the hell? Or if I might walk around with this tomorrow and people might trip out, especially if they're very sensitive to like, a pentagram made out of fork. Some people are, some people are not. Yeah, Peter says it totally right. Yeah, it's normalized to eat meat around the world because we've been brainwashed to accept this, accept that it's okay. It's perfectly cool and normal and fine and totally dandy to exploit sentient beings and utilize their bodies for food and other purposes when we don't have to. I'm not describing a desert island situation where you might die. I'm just talking about just here in the real civilized world where you can go to stores and restaurants and you have choices. You're not limited to what's on this hypothetical desert island. Who knows? No one ever said that desert island has a cow. It probably doesn't, right? Most desert islands don't have cows. It might have some bivalves and fish or something like that. Maybe a goat if you're lucky. And who says you have to start eating goats? You can start trying to eat all the plants, and work your way if you're going to die. I'm not even advocating for this, but I'm just going, it's funny how vegans always find themselves on a desert island, and there's no clear understanding of what is or is not on this hypothetical desert island. Anyway, a lot of people don't know what seitan is. I guess that could be true, huh? That's weird. Not weird. To me, that's weird. It's weird in my world to not know what seitan is. Not me, meaning you don't have to eat or consume seitan every day or anything like that. But yeah, it's just kind of weird. Just as a vegan, we just take for granted seitan is something out there. Yes, happy Pride, everyone. Yeah, Long Beach Pride was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, we were busy that weekend, even though we went to a restaurant the next day during Pride weekend that was owned by someone who was God, what'd you say her involvement was with Pride? I forgot. I totally forgot. I'm not even going to go on the story. My memory is not totally tight right now. Timothy says, eating dead bodies isn't just weird, it's disgusting. Yeah, it truly, eating the flesh of a once sentient being that had emotions, feelings, can feel pain, experience fear and happiness, and finding that you're so out of touch with that reality that you just say, no, I'm going to eat it anyway because meat though, it's like, it's very, it's a mental gymnastic move, let's say. Yeah, milk is for baby cows, period. Yeah, why did the universe or God or evolution, whatever you want to say, create lactating mammals for? It's to feed their babies, right? I don't care if you're talking about humans or goats or cows or rats or whatever. It's to feed their little mammal babies. That's why they have that capabilities. And to think that we have the right to go and take it from them, and not only that, like drink it as adults, like who in the hell, like first of all, what other creature would drink the milk of another species? That's just whack. Like people that like milk, like what if there was rat milk? Would you guys be all into milk if it was only rat milk or something like that? You've just been conditioned to accept cow milk. But imagine if you grew up in a world where there was no dairy milk of any kind, and all of a sudden someone offered you a glass of milk. You go, what is this? Oh, we went to a pregnant cow, or a cow that just gave birth, and we squeezed her bits and got all this juice or whatever, this white stuff out of here and drink it. You would go, that's sick. Why would I drink some stuff that came out of a cow mother? That's just weird, right? But we've been conditioned because we see it, there's advertisements, it's supermarkets. It must be okay, even though it's intuitively gross if you haven't already been brainwashed to accept it. And when you stop to ponder the ethics of it, then it's just a slam dunk that it's not. It's weird. It's totally weird to drink the secretions of another being and have all the cruelty that's involved in dairy. A lot of people don't realize that cows and mammals just don't walk around lactating. You have to be pregnant. And what happens when you're pregnant? We all know you give birth. What happens to baby cows? It's a horrible plight. The male ones are either killed right away or soon, or the few lucky ones get to live a slightly longer life because they're put in these little tiny cages where they can barely move and they become veal. So people can have their special, precious, tender veal meat. And the female cows are often just turned into new dairy cows themselves. So it's a pretty cruel and exploitative industry all the way around. A lot of people don't realize that. I didn't realize that when I was vegetarian. I thought, oh, the cows aren't being killed. It's okay to have some meat and cheese and stuff like that. But I didn't really do much research into the subject. Hang on, let me make it a little cooler in here. AJ, your elementary school teacher told you cows produce milk because they eat grass? Well, that's part of the story, but the male cows eat grass too, and they don't produce milk, right? I mean, there's got to be something else to it. Yeah, they have to, I guess they didn't, your teacher didn't want to go into the biology part, the sexual biology part about it all. Let's see, what else have we been talking about here as I've been going off yapping about milk and the ethical problems with milk and the unnecessariness, is that a word? The unnecessariness of humans, particularly adult humans. I'm not saying even babies should be drinking, but particularly if you're past infancy, why the hell are you still drinking milk for? Cow milk, like why? There's no point. Why you have rat milk, right? You wouldn't do that. Cow milk is just as gross as rat milk. Yeah, I'm sure your teacher is trying to shield you. And your teacher probably didn't want to get into the sexual biology bit too, given the age of elementary school kids. So, Dusty Dead, I already talked about backyard hens. It's funny how people talk about that. First, let's talk about that, because that's always, it's backyard hens is like a slippery slope to a sister argument, if you will, for the desert island argument. That somehow vegans always find themselves on desert islands. That's rule number one. If you're vegan, get prepared, have a to-go bag, be prepared wherever you go, especially when you go on a boat trip or an airplane trip, because inevitably there's going to be some kind of problem or malfunction and you're going to find yourself stranded on a desert island. Okay, so that's number one if you're vegan. I don't know why that happens to vegans. Secondly, when you're not vegan, say you were vegan and you quit, it's strange how all these former recent vegans find themselves living next to a place where they can find these backyard hens. I just don't believe it. I don't live in, say God forbid, I were to quit being vegan today and I'm going to start saying, I'm going to eat backyard hen eggs. I don't have a place to go get backyard hen eggs. This is weird. I just don't believe these people when they say they live next to backyard hen eggs. So I'm suspicious of their stories. And secondly, even if it were true, it's a solution that's just not scalable. There's just not enough backyard chicken hen eggs to go around. Thirdly, there is still cruelty and exploitation in the whole chicken world, because chickens, unless there's some kind of like human selected, chicken. What's that called? Natural selection. They've been bred over thousands of years to produce eggs at an unsustainable rate. So that presents all sorts of health challenges for these mature chickens. And secondly, there's not that many calories in an egg. So how many chickens would you actually need to consume even like, say, 40% of your calories from eggs or something like that? You would need a lot of chickens. This is a crazy idea. It's a thought experiment. It doesn't work. I mean, if you're a vegan that wants to eat chicken eggs, then you're probably not vegan anymore. So just don't make up a bunch of stupid excuses, because it's not going to work. You can't get around that the animal that you're getting the eggs from, you're taking away. I think it's like honey and bees. A lot of people, that's what's wrong with taking honey from bees. Again, if we look at the definition of exploitation, it's to... Let's look it up again. I just showed it in my last video with Ali. I don't want to misquote it because it does a good job. Definition exploitation. I have it in my search history because it comes up. Yeah, the action or fact. Oops, I didn't hit the right button. The action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work. So yeah, chickens produce eggs, bees produce honey. That is their work. That's the word in the definition there, their work. They are doing work. Not for you. They don't give a F about you. They're doing it for them, they've evolved, to make their bees for the colony and the queen, the health of all that. That's what it's for. Chickens have the reason why they produce eggs, the reason any animal produces eggs, to produce a next generation. You're taking that away from them. So you're taking the work of another sentient being in order to benefit from it. So it's exploitation. It's the definition of exploitation. Yeah, Felix, I agree with you. If they're a rescue, that's cool. If you're just going to keep in your backyard, whatever, awesome. But that still doesn't justify taking their eggs. It's like saying, this guy was in prison, so now I'm going to take him out of prison and keep him in my spare room in the back house, but I'm going to exploit him because he was in prison before. Now I can just exploit him. It's the same thing. Just because someone came from a unfavorable position in life before, from being in prison or a rescue chicken, doesn't give you the right to automatically, it's morally fine now, I've washed my hands, I can exploit it now because of its past situation. Yeah, the eggs aren't yours. The eggs are for them. So if they're going to lay eggs to produce babies, cool. If they want to eat their own eggs, cool, whatever. That's chicken business. That's hen business. It's not human business. I mean, if you want to keep them alive, awesome, but the eggs aren't yours, just like the honey's not yours. If you have, if you're, beekeeping and you want to eat the honey, it's not yours. You might think it's your property, but sentient beings shouldn't be anyone's property. Wow, dogmatic veganism, except when they spray crops to protect fruits and vegetables. No, vegans don't spray crops to protect vegetables. Are you saying that the workers in the American industrial agriculture business is ran by vegans? Furthermore, not only are the decisions made by vegan CEOs and managers, the people actually spraying crops are vegans. That's just completely absurd. No, most fruit and vegetables that are consumed in the United States are not consumed by vegans. So don't blame the practices of the American agribusiness industries on vegans. You guys are eating fruits and vegetables. You guys are more than we are. You guys are the primary people that they're making money off of. So don't pull that bullshit on us. I hate when people do that, And think about it too. Most plants that get sprayed with all this crap and shit, it's not fed to humans. It's fed to livestock. 7% of soy grown in the United States, that's what reaches human mouths. 7%. The vast majority of it is fed to your guys' livestock. So don't give us this bullshit, the sprays and all that shit for tofu and corn or soy and corn. Most of that's going to as livestock feed. So it's not a vegan thing. Most food that's produced in the United States is going to non-vegans and it's going to livestock. We eat a tiny bit. So if you don't like the sprays, it's not our fucking problem. It's such a stupid, insincere way of trying to discredit veganism. Sorry about my F-bomb there. Yes, hypocrites, fully hypocrites. You guys are the ones doing it. You meat eaters are the CEOs of these businesses. You meat eaters are the people that are flying the crop spraying planes. It's not vegans doing it. What a freaking fantasy, And then the fantasy that we're eating all this food. Yeah, we're eating some of it, but a really small portion of it. You guys think about it. Unless you're carnivore, you're eating all the fruits and vegetables and stuff too. And more so, your animals that you eat are eating all of the grains. So anyway, oh, we have a Phil bro here. No, it's not a fallacy. You're the one that said you vegans are the ones spraying the crops or something like that for your fruits and vegetables, which is complete bullshit. I called you out on the absurdity of your claim is clearly and not in no ambiguous way. I showed you what is completely lacking in that claim as far as truthfulness, factuality, and now you're trying to throw a fallacy at me. Good job there. Why don't you actually address what I said than trying to say I threw a fallacy out there? Show me exactly what was wrong about my claim. I showed you what was wrong about your claim, bro, that your fantasy of the vegans that are ones running these companies spraying the crops, which is complete bullshit. And we're not even the ones eating we're eating just a small percentage of it. I showed you exactly what's wrong. Tell me what's wrong with what I said. Yeah, Phil bro here, philosophy bro, short term for that. Just learned the two cocaine. I can't even pronounce that fallacy and is just dying to use it. So anyway, yeah, okay, to add more support for what I just said, to show you I'm not full of crap here. Yeah, we vegans, we all make up, like, depending on where you're at, 1 to 3% of the population. We're eating all the soy, the fruits, the vegetables, and we're responsible for all the sprays on those foods. Who says we're eating sprayed food? It could be the case that maybe vegans are more inclined, since we think about our food more than your average person, because we have to. We just can't go eat any freaking thing, any freaking place. You know, you have to be aware of what you're eating. Just kidding. If you're not looking, you'll eat a meat burger. You have to be thinking. So what I'm saying, since vegans are already thoughtful about what they eat, a lot of us are inclined to eat better foods. Maybe we're not eating in the same proportions as non-vegans sprayed foods. Doug, just be clear. I'm not going to go back and read shit. I'm conducting a live stream right now. I have 2 giant monitors. I'm running the show here. Tell me. Be very clear. Just don't throw a fallacy name. Just tell me what was wrong. What in my rebuttal to you about this vegan spraying and vegan agribusiness thing? Tell me what was factually incorrect about that. That vegans are barely eating any of the food, but you throw it, you see my point. You're casting blame on vegans for eating sprayed food when we're not the ones responsible for it. Do you understand that? We're not the ones responsible. We don't have any cause and effect in that those business decisions or anything like that. So if you want to tell me what I'm misrepresenting here, now would be your time to do that. Yeah, I'm with you, Graven. I know. That's why this is not a debate channel. That's why we don't do live calls. It's where you present your best argument or evidence against veganism, and we'll have a listen if you're able to conduct yourself in having a conversation like that. If you can't, then it's not going to go anywhere. As Timothy says, vegans have to eat something, right? We're not supposed to die because the food grown in the agricultural businesses isn't perfect or something like that. And we don't directly control farming practices. Exactly. So what are we supposed to do? Just die out of principle? No. And also, animals and insects harmed in plant farming are forcibly impregnated, imprisoned, tortured, and murdered.
Thanks for the tip.
Hey, thanks for the super chat tip there, Heartily Tin Man Adonis. Good to see you. Yeah, Sarah, I run my show how I want to. Yeah, exactly. And my point is, don't get all Phil bro on me here or debate bro. Just don't use all these big words that you don't freaking understand, objective claims and shit like that. Just tell me what is factually or logically wrong with me responding to your claim that vegans are responsible for the sprays on foods. Just tell me how that is the business or responsibility of vegans. Please educate me here. Because you're the one that made the claim. I didn't bring it up. So you brought up the absurd claim. You have to wiggle your way out of it. It's not my responsibility. That's yours. Hey, Milo, contemplating this topic is psychologically traumatizing. I'm sorry. Hopefully we'll get through this kind of chill. And Graven points out, yeah, she hasn't killed any insects yet on her plants. Yeah, and the plants that I grow, I haven't had to kill insects. I can't be responsible what happens when other people grow food that I'm not like in charge of, but in the food I grow, I don't kill rats and gophers and bugs or anything like that. Hell, I stopped growing kale in my yard because the bugs were too fond of the kale. So it's like, I can't grow kale, but they leave the Swiss chard alone, so we'll grow Swiss chard then. Just let nature decide. Instead of being like, I will conquer nature, I will use the crap that kills the bugs. You're like, no, I'm not going to do that. I just grow something else. It's not like you have to grow or eat kale. Eat another plant, and problem solved. But I understand that, the agriculture businesses can't make those decisions, so they'll spray. But again, that's not my fault. It's no vegan's fault. Oh, Peter, absolutely. Anytime. This is true 100% of the time. You pretty much never hear me say always or 100% of the time, but Peter's right. Anytime someone starts with a sentence with, you vegan, or all you vegans, whatever's going to come after that, it's going to be some effed up S. Trust me, it's just going to be some bigoted crap, some just absurd, crazy thing, because there's really nothing true of all you vegans, other than some not trivial things, but things that aren't quite so, exciting. When like all you vegans are like lefties or liberal. No, this is what's true of all you vegans. Should be that all you vegans are against animal cruelty and exploitation. That's it. That's all you can really say about all you vegans, because we're a really diverse slice of humanity. There's really no way to generalize us in any way that would be true other than this, something quite trivial but quite profound at the same time. All you vegans, yeah, or what? You guys are against animal cruelty and exploitation. Wow, you got that right, hater troll. Wow, I'm impressed with your wisdom. Wrong button there. I gotta hit the drink button there for showing the definition of vegan. So drink up, guys. Every time we have to show the definition of vegan, you gotta drink up. So whatever you want here. If you want to have a martini, go for it. Margarita, mojito, go for it. You want some water? Awesome. Some almond, oat milk, whatever, go for it. Ooh, almost hit my phone there. Okay, let me move that along. Dusty Dud, how long was I a vegetarian? Well, when I first tried vegetarianism in the 90s, when I was still like a college student living at home, I didn't know how to cook worth crap. I don't remember. I want to say maybe at least 3 months, maybe 6, 7, 8 months, something in that ballpark, under a year. And I just gave up on that because it was just kind of not practical, given that my mom's making all my food pretty much, and I wasn't really taking it strong to the hoop to like learn my way around the kitchen. So I kind of gave up on that, even though the principles stuck with me. Remember, in the 1990s, being vegetarian was pretty much like being vegan. It was way out there, and people thought you were weird and it was hard to find food. I'm not saying there is similar morality. I'm just saying in the practicalness of it in day-to-day life. It was like being vegan, probably even more difficult. But yeah, that was it. And then, when I met Angie, not too long, a few years after that, 5 years after that or so, 6 years after, she was vegetarian. So we clicked. So she made food in the house. I was vegetarian. So I was pretty much a vegetarian unless I ate elsewhere. Outside the house. All the food she made, she didn't cook me meat and steaks and chicken and stuff like that. Parth, water, beer? Yeah, I didn't mention beer. Yeah, if beer, no, those kinds of spirits are your thing, go for it. Totally cool. Drink up when we look at the definition of veganism. Hey, Peter, thanks for the super chat tip there. Your t-shirt is a bit faded. Where can you get a new t-shirt that says it doesn't suck being vegan? On our store, Peter. We still have them for sale. Let me just put the link up here for you. There's the definition of vegan. Drink up. Get another beer down there, Parth. Hang on 1 second here. Let me get the tab for our merch So here on merch.happyhealthyvegan.org, you can get a Doesn't Suck Being Vegan shirt. So let me paste the link. Oops, yikes, I made a mistake here. Our tees. Yeah, refresh your shirts if you've worn it too much and it's gotten old. I just pasted the link down below. So, yeah. Get a new shirt. Let's see. Graven says, Dr. Death here is saying eating animals is good for them. Okay, where's them at? I don't see this person. Oh, Dr. Diego. Pasture-raised carnivore does benefit animals. Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. The vegetarian myth 2009. Just tell me, what myth am I falling for here? What misunderstanding or misinformation have I latched onto that I need to let go? So please tell me what falsehood I have been believing since this thing's been out since 2009. So what is false? Yeah, and AJ raises up a good point. I didn't even get to the second part. Let me read AJ's question to you as well, Dr. Death. How does slaughtering a sentient being who doesn't want to die, and that's the key point there, sentient being who doesn't want to die, doesn't want to be your next dinner or lunch, how does that benefit animals exactly? So let me know, when animals get slaughtered, how does that benefit the animals? I'm having trouble wrapping my head around, you need to kill animals to help the animals, especially you have to kill animals who don't want to die and slaughter them and eat them because that benefits the animals. I'm not understanding that. So yeah, please help us. Pretend we're all really stupid. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Lear Keith, is that her name? I've made several videos about her. First of all, she was never vegan as far as I understand, so that's a big lie right there. But what's the point you're trying to make? She's not like an environmental scientist or anything like that. What was her background and training? So just get to the point. What is, you're saying topsoil and shit like that? I've heard crap like that, regenerative farming crap like that. What is the point you're trying to make here? What is the thing you're saying? Veganism is like an environmentally unfriendly diet or something like that, and based on what you're talking about, like Lear Keith, and who is that dude that did like a TED talk? It didn't have a lot of good science behind it. Frick, I'm having trouble remembering that dude's name. But anyway, I'll show you actual climate scientists who have actually looked into what's the leading causes of greenhouse gas emissions, and it's not eating plants. Let me just show you, okay? First of all, let's just make it easy. We don't even have to, I won't even show you a scientific article here. I will bring up the 8 most climate-friendly diets according to the United Nations. The United Nations scientists on climate science. And so it's their panel on the international, I'm sorry, the UN's oh shit, I don't have it up here. The UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And they concluded that eating less meat, especially in developed countries, and reducing food waste was an effective method to help reduce global warming. And it predicts that taking this course would save millions of square kilometers of land from being degraded by farming. So they ranked the 8 most climate-friendly diets based on carbon mitigation potential, because that's what's going to kill us first. The planet's going to become not habitable, and we're not going to be able to survive here. Number 1, vegan. Number 2, vegetarian, flexitarian. Okay, climate carnivore is down at the bottom here, near the bottom. Number 7 here, 75% of ruminant meat and dairy replaced by other meat. So again, this is based on, even though this article is a friendly, consumer-facing article, it's based on research from the United Nations IPCC Climate Change Committee. So what do you have to show me that's based on actual science, climate science, to show me that This is wrong. The United Nations have totally got it wrong. They're full of crap. They're lying. They didn't even look at any science. They're just making this crap up. So please show me what you got. Did someone just buy a shirt right now when I was blabbing? I apologize if I blabbed over. Was that you, Peter, refreshing your "It Doesn't Suck Being Vegan" t-shirt? And first, and AJ raises the biggest point here. Veganism is not about making the world a better place as far as climate goes. It just so turns out that the most climate-friendly diets, according to the United Nations IPCC committee, are vegan, followed by vegetarian. Your climate carnivore thing's way down below. It just turns out that. But that's not what veganism is about. It's not a way of life that's seeking to make the climate better. It just happens to be one. Veganism, again, let's all drink up here. Veganism is a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation. So grab your beers, grab your wines, grab your vodkas. Have a shot right there. It's a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation. It just so happens that it happens to be the most climate-friendly diet according to the United Nations here. Vegan, number one. So it's just a nice side benefit, as I like to call it. But that's not why I'm vegan, but it's going to keep me vegan knowing the hell. I'm against animal cruelty and exploitation. I don't want to pay for companies to breed animals into existence so they can slaughter them needlessly so people can eat them as crap foods that they don't need to eat. They can just eat plants and be healthy and alive. So, and it just so happens it's good for the planet too. Okay, Dr. Dan, I'm glad eating a certain way has cured you, and these are anecdotal claims. I can show you all sorts of vegans and even raw fruitarians. They make some wacky claims how they've cured cancer and all sorts of extreme stuff. I'm not going to put any credit on them because I take anecdotal claims for what they are. But now you're switching gears. We were talking climate, and now we're talking about health and stuff like that. So the question is a vegan diet healthy, or are you going to be deficient? You're going to die and get sick? Well, I've been vegan for 14 and a half years. I put my blood tests up. They're not deficient. In fact, for a person of my advanced years, 57, I'm doing great. My doctors, they're totally say, keep on doing what you're doing. Most guys or gals that come in my age, or even 5-10 years younger, on multiple medications, they're overweight, they have horrible blood labs. I have none of those. But maybe I'm a freak of nature, right? I could say, that's an anecdotal story, Ryan. You're just doing what the trolls or anti-vegans are doing. Well, let me show you. I'm not a freak of nature. Well, I might be a freak of nature, but not for those reasons. This is exactly what the health organizations from around the world say what actually does and should happen to anyone eating a well-planned, sensible, vegan, plant-based diet. It's nutritionally adequate for all people, old, young, all that's covered there. So I'm not a freak. This again, let's look at it again. It's not like some shirtless carnivore guy. Hey, look at me in the Costa Rican jungle. I got my shirt off. Anything I say must be true because I'm in the sunshine right now. Look at me. I'm not showing freaks like that. Anyone could say anything, but these are health organizations. They're not just going to make up a bunch of bullshit because they're standing in the Costa Rican jungle. These are health organizations, boring organizations, typically ones who are not known to be fans of veganism, like the Dietitians of Canada or the British National Health Service. They're not going to make a claim out there that's false and gets people sick because their reputations would be smeared. But if a shirtless carnivore influencer in the jungle says something wrong and he changes his mind later, he can just ignore it. And he has done that many times and ignores the fact that what he says now is totally different from what he said a year or so ago. So anyway. And Bill always points out too, the reason why these fruitarians and carnivore people think, oh, I cured my thing, my disease or whatever, or disorder, whatever, by eating my carnivore or fruitarian diet. Well, what do those diets have in common? Not much, other than one obvious fact, as Bill points out. We also need to look at the effects of an extreme elimination diet, meaning you used to eat a diverse array of foods, presumably, and you've narrowed it down to 3, 2, or 1 food even. And so if you had any kind of reactions, food allergies, and you can eat like 1, 2, or 3 foods and not have it. Okay, it doesn't mean your diet cured it. It means you eliminated the food or foods that were causing you problems. It doesn't mean, then fruitarianism is the best or carnivore is the best. It just shows that extreme elimination diets can often reduce it down to a food or two that you're not having reactions to. It doesn't mean the diet is curing you of anything. It just means you reduced it down to a bare minimum. So anyway, I think we've went down that path long enough. So Music Blogger 87, what's your whole point here? I see you, many farmers have a symbiotic relationship with their animals. Great. And then, so that means here, that's even worse. If you I've heard of people that they have a pig and they've raised it since it was a little baby. The family's bonded with it, but they didn't buy the pig to have it be a pet like a dog. Their intention at the time was, we're going to raise it and then we're going to slaughter it and eat it and stuff like that. Well, it's even worse. You're eating like a family pet. How does that make it any better to kill a living sentient being that doesn't want to die? And on top of that, I'm just describing normal livestock there. And on top of that, you treated it like a prince, like a king, and then you kill it. Like, don't put me in that kind of symbiotic relationship. If that's what you consider symbiotic relationship, meaning that one of the two parties in the symbiotic relationship gets an untimely death, especially if you're loving it and treating it like a king, I don't want any part of that crap. Yeah, killing and eating your friend, as Uncle says. That's basically killing and eating your friend. So you're somehow saying that's even more moral to kill and eat someone that you treated really well and your family and children bonded with. That sounds just completely I don't know what the word is for that. Just like what is the word for that? You raise a baby pig with your family and you get it to maturity, then you kill it and eat the bacon. I've heard of people doing that, and they try to eat the bacon and they couldn't. They cried. They just realized they effed up and did something totally just wrong. That's when the people realize, wow, I guess now seeing the reality of how this really works, it's not so like that disconnect that's so easy to have when you buy your meat, from elsewhere. It's all packaged up. You didn't have to see the cruelty, exploitation, and slaughter. You can take all feeling away from it. Just like buying paper towels at the market. You go down one aisle, get your paper towels, go to the other aisle and get your steak. Same thing. There's really not much difference as far as you're thinking of what had to happen for either of those products to get into your shopping basket. Okay, Dr. Diego, if all you have are anecdotal stories, I tell you, I can put up some fruitarian and vegans right now that say they feel amazing. I feel amazing. I feel better now at age 57 than I did in my 30s before I went vegan. So carnivore diet debunked. See, that argument just doesn't hold. Just because a person feels better eating a certain way doesn't really prove anything. Then I feel better now than I did in the past, and I should probably feel worse because I'm a lot older now than when I went vegan 14 years ago, but I have more energy now, stronger now, I'm probably healthier. I know I'm healthier now because I compared a blood test that I took in my early 30s with the one I took in my early 50s, and I'm healthier. My markers are better and healthier in my 50s on a vegan diet than I was eating, just like a decent standard American kind of diet. I wasn't eating a crap diet, but I wasn't eating a great diet either. How do I feel about animals eating other animals? How does that relate to humans? Because let's look at what veganism is once again. It's a human taking a human qua or as a moral agent. We're capable of making moral decisions, capable of engaging in or not engaging in moral behavior. I'm a sentient being that is a moral being as well. I'm taking a moral stance against animal cruelty and exploitation. So how does that relate to anything about what animals do? This is a human thing. Veganism is about humans. I understand that there are some animals out in the world that eat other animals, and I understand there are many animals out in the world that eat plants. And only plants, and some animals eat only both. So how do I feel about that? I mean, I'm not happy that other animals eat other animals, but that's not really what veganism is. It's me doing what I can do about this problem here, that animals are intentionally bred into existence not these ones in the wild, but animals are bred into existence, like pigs, cows, chickens, goats. Even animals are intentionally bred into existence solely so that their bodies can be exploited for profit, typically 99.999% of the time exploited for profit, so that they can sell the bodies of these sentient beings who didn't want to be bred into existence, didn't want to die for your next meal, are killed so you can have another meal. That's what veganism is. I'm not an animal rights, I'm not a wildlife ecologist, advocate or something like that, fighting for animals in the wild or something like that and protecting animals in the wild. I'm doing what I can as a music producer to not have to participate in animal cruelty and exploitation. And what can I do? By not consuming the products of animal cruelty and exploitation, like, meat and leather seats in my car and crap like that. That's what veganism is. So yeah, I understand some animals eat other animals, but maybe they have to. For instance, like say lions and tigers and stuff like that, their biology is quite different from ours. So if that's what they got to do to stay alive, I understand. That's how they evolved and adapted over aeons. Humans, on their hand, we're not like lions and tigers. We don't have to eat meat in order to survive. We can eat plants. And again, that's not just my belief. That is the position of many health organizations from around the world who have reviewed the scientific literature, that a well-planned vegan diet is nutritionally adequate. Second of all, or thirdly, I forgot where I'm at, as I mentioned earlier, lions and tigers don't have moral agency. They're not capable of making moral decisions, meaning that they are not capable, even if they could eat a vegan diet, they're not capable of coming to understanding a concept like veganism. They're not moral agents. So you're comparing apples to oranges there, like a false equivalency. Yeah, we're mammals, we're sentient beings, all these animals and humans, but the distinguishing factor that is essential for being vegan is moral agency. And I even go as far as to say children typically I don't think can be vegan. You can as a vegan, you can raise your children on a vegan diet, but I don't know what the age would be. I don't have kids. I'm not sure how cognitively advanced they are at different ages in life. But typically babies and young children, I don't think are even capable of coming to this moral understanding of what veganism is. Like I said, you can feed them a vegan diet as a vegan parent, totally cool. But I think there's a certain age where they will eventually be able to take a moral stance. But as babies and young kids, I doubt it. Dr. Diego, I'm going to have to put you in timeout. You're throwing poop on the wall. There are hundreds of people who went from vegan to carnivore. So what? What does that prove? Who gives a shit? So what? What does that have to do? Again, just because you didn't like a particular line of reasoning doesn't mean that you can all of a sudden just pivot, shift gears, and throw a different poop on the wall. This is one of our rules that we have here. So I'm going to have to ask you kindly to come back next week because you've pulled 3 or 4 different unrelated lines of reasoning. Livestream rules. You've been okay with numbers 1 and 2, but number 3, when trying to debunk veganism, I will discuss only one of your claims at a time. Don't bring up new claims and keep throwing poop on my wall. Just give us your best, strongest argument or evidence for why veganism sucks or is false or whatever. And so far, when you haven't liked my responses, you just pivot into another poop thing. So you can come back next week. I'm not punishing you. My moderator put you in timeout just so you know that you probably didn't know the rules, and that's fine. You're probably new to this live stream, and I totally get it. I'm not pissed off at you. So if you want to think about it for a week and really come back next week and give me your best, strongest argument or evidence for why veganism is debunked or whatever, do it then. You have 7 days to get your shit together. Okay, Howling Moon Cinemas replying back to the guy, but what about the animals that eat other animals? So what's Howling Moon Cinemas saying to him? They're not asking you to farm them, nor are you anyone to choose what they can and cannot have for their own lives. They are autonomous beings with their own desires and wills. I wish I saw more context for that, what his previous comment was that you're replying to there, Howling Moon. Hey, Trini, good to see you, Trini Vegan. I'm glad you can make it, even if it's for a little while. Bill Seabury asks, I'm going to read your comment there verbatim. Bill says, I wonder if Dr. Death eats off a wood cutting board with no shirt on. Just curious, do you eat off a wood cutting board with no shirt on, Dr. Death? Just curious. It's a fair question. It may seem absurd and strange, but it's an honest question that we wonder. That was you yesterday, Sarah? Anyway, Bill and by the way, Bill's saying, hey, he's guilty of it too. He just ate 3 apples with no shirt on and no one wants to see that. You never know, Bill. Someone might want to see that. You know, I might want to start an OnlyFans where you eat apples with your shirt off. You never know. Maybe you can make $50 live stream or something like that doing that. Who knows? I have no clue. Maybe $500. You know, it could be super lucrative. He was saying that animals live good lives under farmers. Like, what? Like, animals live good lives under farmers. Like, what does that even mean? What does that mean? That, like, let's look what farmers have to do. Of course, they feed and often shelter their animals, partly because, or chiefly, or primarily because if they don't, their animals die. And the only reasons why farmers own animals is for profit, for money, for business sakes. You know, they're not doing it out of their compassionate heart. They just want to be a sanctuary. No, they're doing it for money, for profit. So, of course, they have to keep their investment alive. So just because you give some sentient being the bare minimum they need to be alive, food, and in some cases shelter, they got to stay away from, like, say, coyotes or attacks from other animals or stuff like that, doesn't mean that they are taking the greatest care of them or something like that. And again, if you really want to take care of a sentient being, like I take care of my elderly mom, I treat her well, I feed her well when I can, take her out somewhere nice, but I have no intention to ever slaughter her. You see the point? So this whole comparison, it's a faulty comparison, trying to compare how farmers take good care of their animals, but you're neglecting the point that the final part of that relationship is slaughter. You know, so how good can you take care of someone? It's like, say, I have a friend, he's so cool, I treat him really nice, but I'm going to kill him next week, you know, because I can, you know, I've been taking great care of him, so I can kill him, I can exploit him. Again, that's no excuse, that's no moral excuse. Just because you've been treating someone well or nice, supposedly, doesn't give you the moral right to end their life when they don't want to have their life ended. That's the part you keep, you could just say, hey, the farmer, let's just take your argument all the way, bro, that farmers, they treat their animals, I said this earlier, they treat their animals like kings and princes. They bathe them every night in virgin olive oil. You know, they let them sleep in the bed and they brush them with their human brushes and the kids kiss them and everything. They say they just live this most just dreamy, perfect, princely, kingly lifestyle. But the bottom line is you're still going to kill it anyway. That makes it even worse. Why would you want to kill someone that you're treating with such love and affection? It's an absurd argument to bring up. So anyway, thanks for bringing it up, though. I'm having fun with that. I'm not saying you're a bad person or anything like that, but I think you're trying to justify your own guilt you may have about animal cruelty and exploitation being a daily part of your life. So you're doing all these mental gymnastics to make it seem, oh, the farmers treat the animals nicely. They live a good life. And then they get slaughtered, but I'm not going to talk about that part. A single mother. Again, you're like Ali Tabrizi, you know, bringing up this emotional story. How come a single mother couldn't feed her children non-animal products? In fact, Ali's argument there, how, what about a mom carrying a baby in the pram and another toddler run around, the vegans tell her to eat rice, beans, and shit like that. Well, since I showed that video last week, I've had more moms comment in the comments on that video. Go look. And they're telling me how they're not doing well. They're in a poor country in Europe and they don't have a lot of money. And they find it much cheaper to eat on a plant-based or vegan diet than if you're incorporating expensive steak and animal meat and shit like that. So don't give me this crap that poor people have to eat meat when meat is more expensive than plants. The argument fails no matter how many times it gets thrown at us. that, oh, they're poor, they have to eat meat. Yeah, and Stop Abusing Animals says, yeah, farmers see animals as products. They see them as an investment, and farmers will protect their investment. They have to feed their investment, or their investment will die, or be too skinny to get slaughtered. The only reason why you're saying that they take good care of their animals is not because of their compassion or their altruism or anything of the sort. It's solely for protecting their investment. The animals are seen as nothing other than objects to be exploited. They're not objects. They're not sentient beings that are capable of feeling emotion, pain, and pleasure, and they're not loving them as such. They are taking the minimal care required to keep their investment alive and able to be slaughtered for the final goal of cashing in on profit. Of slaughter. Yeah, as Late Model points out, a 100-pound bag of beans, which you can buy. She's not making this crap up, I know, because she buys a 100-pound bag of beans herself. She knows what the hell she's talking about. A 100-pound bag of beans, in addition to some other foods too, will take that single mother a long way. Bill points out, tofu, $2 to $3 a pound. Dead animals, $7 to over $20 a pound. Again, this whole bullshit about, it's so much, if you're poor, you can't afford to do this elitist, privileged diet of eating peasant food, which is what we eat for the most part. We, speaking about like myself and Angie personally, yeah, sure, sometimes we'll splurge and get something a little fancy, but for day in and day out, you've seen it. I showed, just watch Angie's 7 vegan meals. She puts one out every few days, showing what we eat day in and day out, and it's peasant food, rice, grains, all sorts of different legumes, some tofu to just regular like white or black beans, and grains, rice and pasta, just cheap stuff, Yeah, of course we put veggies on there too. I'm just saying the base of our diet, the foundation, is some of the cheapest stuff. And the fruit I buy in bulk, bananas, you can get those. You can get a 40-pound box for like $30. That'll take a single mother a long way to feed her kids some healthy, nutritious fruits too, along with the 100-pound bag of beans. Forever Young, what about indigenous populations that hunt and have a cultural connection to the land, like buffalo and caribou? Well, the thing is, it's an interesting argument. It's like an appeal to the past kind of thing, appeal to tradition thing, because Native Americans, their way of life, how it was, central to like bison and stuff like that before the settlers got here. That way of life is completely destroyed, by the way, and there's no way to really bring that back. But I'm saying you still can be a Native American and understand that now you don't need to like round up bison anymore. They may have needed to do that perhaps in the past. I wasn't here, obviously. I'm not that freaking old. I don't always like to be a Native American 200-300 years ago, but now you can make a choice. You can make a decision like, yeah, okay, that was the way of our past. We don't need to do that anymore. We things can improve. Having a food system where you can have dependable, reliable food all year, 24/7 in some places. So you can just say, hey, my ancient ancestors ate bison, and what's the better appreciation of bison? Let's be honest here. Whoever brought that question up, I forgot your name. I'm sorry, I'm not being disrespectful, but what really shows respect and honor to a bison? Because where I go camping in Catalina, I'll put the videos up. I love going camping there because they have bison there. They've had bison there for about 100 years because they filmed a Hollywood movie there. So they're kind of native to the islands now, and I respect them. They're beautiful creatures. I respect them. I honor them. In fact, I have a little bit of Native American blood in there. Maybe that's why I love them so much. But my point is, I think it's better and shows more respect to the bison to not kill them. I show my love by looking at it, go, wow, what a majestic, beautiful creature you are. They're beautiful creatures. But I stay my distance because they can F your S up, man. If you get, sometimes people get speared if they think, I'm on vacation, nothing bad will happen. Then they get speared and they get really injured. My point is, which shows more respect? Telling the animal, yes, you are a beautiful creature. I honor and respect you. Or shooting it and eating it, To me, respect doesn't involve having to kill someone. That's how I see respect and honor. You might have a different take on respect and honor. It must be a weird one I can't relate to, but people and sentient beings that I respect and honor, I typically don't kill them and eat them. That's just me. If you're different, comment down below. If you tell me if you like to eat and kill and shoot and eat people I respect and honor. Don't get me banned. I shouldn't even talk about stuff like this. YouTube probably isn't too hip on this. Forever Young. No, you don't have to tell a Native American to change their culture and lifestyle. I tell you, that lifestyle is gone. It just exists in stories from the past. The Native Americans don't round up the buffalo and follow them across the plains of the like Oklahoma and all that stuff anymore. Those days are done. That's just old stories. They don't depend on the bison for their survival in 2025. Do you understand the difference there? I believe now, like I said, the best way to respect an animal is not to kill it. The best way to respect an animal is to actually acknowledge it's a sentient being. You are a sentient being, buffalo or any animal. I am not going to consume you, because now in 2025, instead of having to round up the teepees and horses and follow the bison around for hundreds of miles, I can get in my car or electric bicycle and go to a supermarket and buy some lentils. I'm not saying to disrespect the practices of the past. I'm just saying that the practices of the past are no longer applicable, because that lifestyle has been long gone for a long time. And Forever Young, I'm not telling Native Americans what to do. I've never made a video. I've made 2,000 videos here on YouTube, on this YouTube channel, 2,000 videos. I've never once made a video saying, hear ye, all you Native Americans and Inuits, here is what you need to do if you want to be a good person, because I am morally superior to you. I've never made a video like that. All I'm saying is this, showing them that, oops, wrong button. Sharing the message of what veganism is, taking a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation. So whether you're Native American or Inuit or just a dude in the United States or Europe or whatever, it doesn't matter what your cultural background, if you're Asian, European, whatever. All these cultures, it doesn't matter. It's just about now. What you can do, all these cultures that I just mentioned, I'm 3/4 Chinese. There's tons of meat in Chinese culture and tradition. So you don't have to like throw Native Americans at me as some kind of emotional appeal. I just can show you my own cultures. Asian and English. And there's tons of meat eaten in those cultures too. So I'm bucking some trends of tradition there. But again, I really don't care, because I'm against animal cruelty and exploitation. I can honor my culture still. There's many restaurants where I can go to and get like some Chinese dim sum, or just go to a Chinese restaurant and not even order meat on the plate. There are dishes you can get, like broccoli and rice dishes and stuff like that with mushrooms that are delicious. So you can still be part of your culture and not have animals killed for your meals. Do you understand that? That might have not been true in the past, but it's definitely the case right now as you and I speak. If you can watch this YouTube channel, as I assume you're doing because you're watching, you don't have to have animals killed for you any longer. No, Peter, I don't own an electric bicycle. I was just using that as an example. I didn't see Forever Young. I see Allison saying Forever Young. Wow, thanks for the history lesson. No one knew until you came along and told us. I can't imagine what kind of history lesson they were telling you guys as I was blabbing on there about why it's unnecessary to bring up the Inuit or Eskimos when I just could bring up my own people, the Chinese. I tell you, I'm bucking the trend. If you go to a typical Chinese restaurant, it could be tough going as a vegan. They're bringing all these meat dishes everywhere, but it doesn't have to be that way. A couple weekends ago, we were in a very Chinese part of Southern California for a family event, and afterwards we went to a very full-on Chinese vegan restaurant, and all the people eating there were barely any Westerners or white, European types. It was just looked like my family, my Chinese family, but they were all eating vegan stuff. So it's not like a weird idea. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Bill, you know what my ancestors did? Bill said died at 40. Wow. Okay, Furthering says, no, I know you're not telling them what to do. Your theme was eating meat is weird. Yeah, it is totally weird, especially now in 2025. But to natives, it's a way of life. Not just to natives. Again, you don't have to bring these emotional appeals up of Eskimos, Inuits, and Native Americans. Again, you just could bring up your own people, whatever culture you're from, whatever blood you have running through. I could bring up mine. Yeah, it's, what do you say? It's a way of life. Yeah, it's a way of life for people in China to eat meat. That doesn't make it right. Just because people are doing it and have been doing it in mass doesn't mean it has to be done and it needs to be done. It doesn't make it morally correct. Like I said, maybe in the past, before we had food systems, especially internationally connected global food systems, maybe in the past, people couldn't consume a diet of all plants and get enough nutrients and calories. I'll grant that. I don't know. I wasn't around then. The whole time I've been alive, there's been a food system. So now there's absolutely zero reason to consume animals as products for food when you can consume plants. You understand that? We have a choice now that our ancestors who you keep appealing to, and even my Chinese ancestors who I'm appealing to, they may have not had a choice. Now we have a very easy choice when we go into a supermarket. And again, it's not being disrespectful to your culture. In fact, here in Southern California, Mexican food is super popular. It's like, burritos and tacos are like hamburgers for people like in, the Midwest or something like that. It's everywhere. And you know what? There's amazing meat. I'm saying meat is a huge part of Latin food culture, and some of the most amazing vegan restaurants are like Mexican and Central American restaurants, where you don't have to put meat in a taco or burrito. You can put the other stuff in, the other stuff that goes in, like the guacamole, the salad, the salsa, and if you want, you can put some kind of and beans and rice, and you can put some kind of fake meat in there if you want to. I'm just saying you can still honor your culture and your traditions, since that seems to be very important for you, Forever Young. You can still honor your culture and traditions by not having dead animals in your food. You can expand on your culture, take it to a new place. Like I'm a musician, that's part of what I like about music, finding, what's out there right now and what you've been influenced by your whole life, adding your thing into it and taking it to a new place. And that's what all these amazing chefs are doing with their respective cultures' foods, reinterpreting them in ways that do not involve animals having to die needlessly, and making extremely delicious plant-based versions that anyone would be happy to eat. And I don't think that's just disrespectful in the slightest. I know I said Eskimo. I corrected myself immediately, Allison, when I switched to Inuit. I know. When I'm rattling off of words 100 miles a minute here, I can forget that. And when I grew up, we never heard the word Inuit. That was something that came to my eardrums first, like maybe in my 30s. And as Bastian points out, enslaving other people was a way of life too. Extremely relevant point there, Bastian. Just because one's ancestors, like say you had ancestors who lived in America's southern states, may have had owned other humans as property. That was part of Southern culture, big time. I mean, that was what the major thing about the Civil War, not wanting to end that practice. These appeals to tradition and culture do not absolve the past practices of any moral wrongs that may have been going on. And if I said in our past we had to consume animal products, all right, but now we don't have to. So who cares what my ancestors in China had to do 100 years ago? I don't give a shit. I'm not living in China 100 years ago. I'm living in the United States right now. And even if I lived in China right now, still the same situation. Go to market and buy plants. Awesome, Forever Young. I hope you didn't take me as being mean or anything like that. I'm just very passionate about veganism. I'm a music producer, like I said, but the reason why I do this is I'm very passionate about spreading the word about how we don't need to eat animals. We don't need to consume animals. We don't need to raise animals and to breed them into existence so they'd be exploited and slaughtered. We can eat plants and be healthy. And, cool. I'm glad you're here. I always welcome people who are vegan curious to come here. And if you want to try to press me on issues anytime, Forever Young, come back next week or stick around tonight and we'll probably just be more chill now. I don't think anyone else is trying to push the anti-vegan buttons. Not to say you were, but I think we're all chill now. Sonny, records are not vegan? Really? How are records not vegan, Sonny? Let me know if they had to breed animals into existence and exploit them during their shortened lives, only to be led to a slaughterhouse to be turned into products that humans utilize. So please explain to me, Sonny, how the records that I have here involved that sort of practice that I just described to you. Please let me know. Yeah, Sarah, huh? Yeah, non-vegans telling vegans how to vegan. So we'll wait for Sonny to do some mental gymnastics to point out to me how animal cruelty and exploitation were involved in the pressings of any of these vinyls back here. Just kind of curious, and maybe Sonny knows something that I don't about petroleum byproducts. You know, let's see what Sonny can come up with. I'm quite curious. Soy latte, Sarah. Maybe tomorrow. I haven't had a chance to go out all week to get my morning latte, so maybe tomorrow will be a good chance. We'll see. I saw my mom last Saturday. So, and the Saturday before, I think the one before. So hopefully this week I can take a little break and go out with my wife and have some quality wife time. Ooh, that is awful, Graven. Wow, I agree with AJ there. That's a horrible story. Your uncle hit a dog on purpose? Wow. Why would he do that for? Wow. No, I'm not going to get a soy latte, Peter. Hell no. I'm going to get an oat milk latte. You know, the anti-vegans don't know what the hell they're talking about. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Love's Easy Tears Forever. Check out Love's Easy Tears by the Cocktail Twins, everyone. One of my favorite albums. It's actually a 4-song EP of all time. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks so much for the super chat tip there. Much appreciated. And I will lobby tomorrow to invest that $5. I think they're like $6 odd, but you know, I hate the vegan tax where they charge an extra $1 for soy milk. I know Starbucks got sued for that, for plant milks. I think they've stopped it or are stopping it, but all these smaller shops still have the vegan tax. So I think I have to pay. Yeah, I do pay an extra $1. What Angie and I have done to counteract that, because if they're going to be bogus, we're going to be bogus too, if they're going to be bogus to us vegans. So instead of getting 2 separate lattes and having a $1 tax on mine and a $1 tax on hers, we'll just get a bigger latte, share it, just pay the one vegan tax, just $1, and just split it. And, you know, it works out to about being the same. I mean, it sucks having to like share a little bit, but we share all the time. You know, we're married and stuff. It's no big deal. Just inconvenient rather than a cooties thing or something like that. But yeah, that's how we get around the vegan tax. Munching on homemade potato and mac salads. That sounds delicious right now. Yeah, especially in the warmer months, huh? Is that something like you cool down in the refrigerator, then bring out and enjoy during the heat? Okay, your uncle hit the dog on purpose in the car because he is a horrible human being. Wow, I'm sorry to hear that, Graven, but you know, I can't think of any other explanation other than that for someone who would intentionally didn't care about a dog. I mean, I could see like if it was an accident, and accidents happen, right? But intentionally went out of his way to hit a dog with his car. Wow. Yeah, that's a definition of a horrible human being. I'm sorry, so sorry. That's your uncle, Graven. I don't mean to be speaking bad about him, but man, that is some effed up stuff. Ah, you have dogs on your lap snoring. I'm glad you broke that family tradition. Yeah. What's that? Starbucks stopped selling people for vegan milk because people glued their hands to the Starbucks counters? Huh. Yeah, I guess we could bring an extra coffee cup with us, Uncle. I didn't think about that. That might be an interesting way to do it too, so we don't have to split the cup. Yeah, we only just pay. I only like paying the vegan tax one time, just out of principle. I don't like them. I mean, how is it really that much more expensive to buy barista oat milk than like barista cow milk? I haven't done the price comparison, but I thought milk has been really expensive lately, right? Is that what I understand? I can't imagine. Oat milk is so much more than the already expensive cow milk that they have to tax us vegans. It just sounds like a bullshit excuse to just, you know, extract a couple more bucks out of people that, you know, that don't want to participate in animal cruelty and exploitation. Okay, where's Sonny here? Sonny with my vinyl. Did Sonny ever come back with the vinyl, how my vinyl here is not vegan? Because I really want to learn if somehow petroleum exploits, to produce petroleum, animal exploitation is necessary. Okay, it is AJ out of the fridge. That sounds delightful. Please send us a little bit right now. Put it in the mail. Peter, I'm not going to go protest at our local coffee shop. I mean, the people that work there, they seem like cool people. They're not the ones who own it or manage it. You know, those people are elsewhere. So no, I'm not going to protest them. It's one of the little things in life that we get a little bit of pleasure from, going through a little stroll through our cute little old neighborhood and walking to our local coffee shop and getting our oat milk latte and sitting outside on a nice day and, taking it in with my beautiful wife and hanging out and, maybe reading the news or playing some chess or something on my phone or whatever, just something, just a little pleasure. I don't want them to see us as, oh, it's that crazy vegan protester guy. 'Cause they're really cool to us. They try to make our coffees in a separate, I forgot what it was. Pour it from I forgot. They try to make it so there's no cross contamination. I forgot what they did or do exactly. So I want to keep on their good sides. I'm not protesting them. I want them to be cool to us because, we appreciate that. Yeah, Sarah, right in the protester lol. Yeah, that's not my thing, protesting. But it is discrimination, Allison. I agree with you. It is a discrimination against people like myself who are against animal cruelty and exploitation. So they want to charge us a little tax for that. So anyway, we all win. They get their stupid tax and we just buy one drink. And you know how it is when you go from a medium to a large, it's just like $1 more. It costs a lot to get that first one. So we're the ones ending up with the better deal, I think, instead of paying 15 or 16 bucks or paying like $7, $8 or something like that, even with the vegan tax. Manu, I don't know really much about what you're asking there. You're talking about China's President Xi run a communist country when the communist USA doesn't have. I don't know what you're talking about there. I'm sorry, I don't understand the context of that. It's me, not you. I just don't know what you're talking about. Wow. Graven, is that your uncle? You said he killed his girlfriend and he's in prison in Texas? Holy shit. Wow. Sorry to hear that. Is that the same dude? Wow, you're right about your uncle not being a really particularly good person. You protested at a Starbucks, Peter? Yeah, you're more of a protester type than I am. That's not really... it's like I dislike protesters or protesting. I have nothing against it philosophically or anything of the sort. It's just not me, some people really, they blossom, they thrive in that kind of situation. That's just not where I feel awesome in. Let's see, Peter. Yeah, thanks for the super chat tip there, Peter. I'm charging people extra for non-dairy milk. It's actually racism because a lot of African Americans, are lactose intolerant, and most Asians are lactose intolerant. Yeah, you raise up a good point. I don't know if it's racist, but it's definitely culturally insensitive to charge people who don't have the lactose tolerant European genetics. Not to say all Europeans are, but what's that word? Proportionally or percentage-wise, Europeans have the highest percentage of lactose tolerance because they had a relationship with dairy cows for so long. They adapted. Asians and even though we had relationships with cows in Asia, they weren't using them for dairy as much. So Asians are not lactose tolerant like Europeans and African Americans too. So it is there is a racial issue going on there too, for sure. I agree with you there, Pete. I don't know if I would use the word racist or not. It could be appropriate. I'd have to think it through a bit, but it's definitely culturally insensitive. I just think it's just being greedy, just upcharging people who are lactose intolerant or against animal cruelty and exploitation, or both, in the case of Angie. Yeah, much of the world can't tolerate dairy, Sarah. I forgot the exact percentages, but I remember it was a majority. The majority of people who live on planet Earth and who have lived on planet Earth don't tolerate or lactose intolerant. So it's just, that should be the default, to have a lactose-free milk product rather than upcharging us for being in the majority of people who can't tolerate it. It's some effed up stuff for sure. Bill, who is much more informed about politics and world politics than I am, I think, says China is not communist. The definition would be a stateless, cashless, classless society with the abolition of private property. From what I understand in my little bit of studies in political science, yeah, it sounds like Bill's got the concept down to the more pure form of what communism is. China is far, far from that. They are not stateless. They're not cashless or classless. They have their oligarchs there too that have done really well with the capitalistic explosion that China has undergone over the past, 3-4 decades. Anyway, what they do have is a more authoritarian government, because Manu says, yeah, you can't flaunt marijuana on TV. They have their internet restricted, the Great Firewall of China, as it's often called. Yeah, they're, to me, the way I see it, a more newly capitalist country that has a very extreme authoritarian government who extremely strongly restricts the flow of information as to what their peoples can access. So that's not a trait of communism necessarily. It's a trait of some kind of authoritarianism. Well, Sarah, do you have Chinese genetics? Your grandpa was born and raised in China, or was he a European person that was born and raised in China? Interesting. Either way, interesting. Tell me more about that. I'm reading what Howling Moon Cinemas, and then AJ replied, yeah, this U.S. now is becoming more and more... what's the word? Oppressed. What was the word there? Yeah, we're getting more and more oppressed every day. I was just seeing in the news today, the ICE raids, immigrations, customs enforcement in Los Angeles. Like, just, they yanked a kid out of school yesterday, and I think in Torrance, where Uncle's from, or near where Uncle's from, in Torrance, he's a school kid. No, I think they yanked him out of school. He was a student there, but he was yanked out of an immigration meeting elsewhere. But they raided all sorts of places in Southern California in the past 24 hours. Like taking people, putting them, in, who knows, they're gone for now. Who knows if they'll be released or not. Yeah, that's pretty scary. I never thought I'd grow up in a country where, armed, masked gunmen in armored vehicles would hop out and go into stores or restaurants or schools or courthouses and grab people. That's not the United... I know it might seem weird, but that's not the United States I've grown up in. That's just like, whoa, what, but I don't want to... Okay, I know some people might get triggered by this. I'm just letting you know. That's my observation. Like, that's not to be normalized here. Maybe in other countries it's normal, but that's not the United States I've grown up in. Yeah, Uncle, ICE raids coming to a town near you. So how does Bill see it? Bill says the U.S. is a fascist police state when government and corporations combine, as Mussolini defined fascism. I'll have to read up more on that. I obviously know who Mussolini is, but I don't know too much about his particular brand of fascism. And they do cover their faces too. I don't know if I mentioned that in my little description there. Yeah, I've heard they've been targeting places like Home Depot, where day workers will be out front in the mornings trying to find some work for the day. ICE will just go there and grab them. Okay, late model about your grandpa in China. Your gramps was British and his parents worked in the Chinese government back then. Wow. Gramps was born in Shanghai and lived there 18 years. Wow. You've really got an interesting past and stuff there, Sarah. That's awesome. I've never been to China. And I have no plans to ever go to China, to be honest with you. If I ever went out there to Asia, if I really wanted to explore my Chinese heritage, I would probably just go to Taiwan. Hopefully I won't go with it when they get invaded or something like that and be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'd probably just visit Taiwan and maybe Korea, maybe Japan. I want to see like their Disneyland out there and some of their like theme parks that seem really trippy to us Westerners. All right, Bill recommends that I and all you guys as well should read The 14 Tenets of Fascism. Is that authored by Mussolini? Music blogger is not too excited about our future with AI. It's already happening. I thought I just saw a headline yesterday that IBM has laid off a bunch of their tech workers and replacing their work with AI created code and stuff like that. So it's already happening. All right, Graven, it's good to see you. And thanks for sharing your story about your uncle. I'm so sorry to hear about all that. Let's see. Breston says, looking at your shirt, I wonder if you know vegan black metal chef. Yeah, we've met him a bunch of times. He lived out in LA for, I don't know, a year or two or so. I forgot. About 2 odd years. And I think he moved back to Florida like during COVID or something like that. So I haven't seen him since. But Brian's, it's cool. We loved him. He's such a sweet, nice person. I mean, I didn't get to really spend a lot of time with him, but I thought he was going to be more like dark and trippy or something like that. And he is a little dark and trippy. I'm dark and trippy too, but no, he's like me. He just seemed like a sweet, chill, nice, friendly guy, and I got along with him really well. We attended a few veg fests together, went to some parties, met at some parties together, some vegan oriented parties. So yeah, Brian's cool. I miss him. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, they grab people. ICE has been grabbing people out of immigration court. Like, people will go to their appointments, the appointments that they've been going to for a while for immigration related matters in court. And ICE will just go and get them there. Oh, hey, someone's coming at 9:30 for their appointment. We'll just nab them, Oh man, sorry. Next door neighbor just returned from Japan and Taiwan. Wow. Bill, okay, that 14 Tenets of Fascism is not a Mussolini product, but it's spot on and reads like a script of the U.S. Wow. Who authored it, by the way? Would you have that off the top of your head? Travis, you'd like to go to Vietnam. Why is that? I'm kind of like Milo. I'm kind of like not into nationalism. I don't feel so strongly that I want to like kill people or die for a belief in my country or something like that. I know people who serve the military might think I'm weak or lame for saying that. I mean, I appreciate their service. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying me personally. I would, if I had to, I'd move somewhere else rather than die or something or fight or something. I'd go somewhere else if I had the means to do that. I see people how they live in Europe, like in Spain or something like that, or south of France. That looks cool to me. If they'll take me. Mexico has some nice spots. I've traveled around there a lot. But I'm with you, Sarah. I don't travel that much either. We haven't traveled much in a long time. Let's see. Sonny, are you just trolling now? You never addressed our question about how the vinyl isn't vegan. So if you can answer that question, please do so, but just don't tweet like a random bot or something. If so, I'm gonna have Peter put you in timeout. Do you understand, Sonny? Yeah, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand. Yeah, the strong, Buddhist presence in those countries. So yeah, from what I understand, I've not traveled to them, but it's typically not too hard to find some animal cruelty free based meals out there. Okay, Bill, thanks for that. The 14 Characteristics of Fascism by Lawrence Britspring, 2003. And he said it really describes how things are looking now in 2025. 2025. I'm sorry if I got... Yeah, 2025 is right. No one ever says that, though. It sounded weird how it rolled off the tongue. Let's see. Yes, Ryan for president, Hallie Moon Cinemas. I just need someone to donate a few tens of millions of dollars to me, then I can make a good and honest run. But then the two-party system here is so ingrained and corrupt for the most part. It's just extreme barriers to entry with the two-party system in place here. So I really don't see myself running with either party. So I don't think I could ever be president. Plus, it looks like a bunch of shit I wouldn't want to do anyway. I wouldn't be able to work on music or make vegan videos. So I don't think I'd even want to be president even if I could. Two-party BS, more like it. Now, we need a whole new government, AJ, but hopefully not the way it's going right now to that what they're trying. But yeah, I'd like to be the first vegan president. I guess that would be cool. First Chinese and vegan president. That would be kind of cool. So how are we doing on time here? Okay, I've been on an hour and 45 minutes. So yeah, I tell you, we usually go about 2 hours. So like another 15-ish minutes. I don't need money. I need a militia, Travis. I don't think I could ever have a militia that would be enough like of a force to, Yeah, is it crazy how Elon Musk and Donald Trump are like their bromance is over? When they first started their bromance, I never shared it with you guys, but I didn't really think it was going to last that long because I've seen during Trump's first term, a similar thing happened like when he immediately took office. People were perceiving Steve Bannon as the true president, running it all, calling all the shots, making all the decisions. And I know people like Trump, that have really big egos, and I don't care. I would say that about a Democrat. It's just a personality trait. I'm not making a political bash or anything like that, but they don't like that kind of talk. They like to always be the one perceived as being in power and control. And Elon Musk, again, another guy with a super big ego, and I didn't really think it was going to last that long, but it was looking pretty good. Like, wow, I guess my assessment of that was wrong, but no, sure enough, I was right. It just took longer than I thought. Yeah, but yeah, Sarah, surprised it lasted that long. Me too. I was thinking I guess I was wrong. Somehow they're getting along. I don't know how, but yeah, it didn't. Of course, it didn't work out, and yeah, we'll see where that goes. Unfortunately, yeah, if you're holding any Tesla stock, yeah, it took a big hit. I thought it rebounded a little bit today, but I thought it dropped like 14% 2 days ago. I don't own any Tesla stock, by the way. I might indirectly through some ETFs or something like that. But anyway, imagine, Milo, people living life in peace. That's my thing. I'm saying I don't want to go fight for my country. If my country said, hey, Ron, you need to go out and kill some guy. It's like, no, not my thing. I'm Buddhist. I'd rather live a life in peace. I'd go elsewhere if it came to that. Yeah, Trump also turned on Mike Pence pretty quickly too. I wonder if the election were rigged, AJ, as the kind of Trump let slip out a couple times. I don't know if he was bumbling. He just misspoke. He was thinking about how the 2020 election was allegedly rigged. There was no evidence of that. Anyway, if this 2024 one were, if it were, not saying it was, but yeah, would Elon know? You think he might, because he seemed to be privy to a lot of information around the White House over the past 5-6 months. So yeah, we'll see. Listened to a lot of Dylan lately. Bob Dylan. I've never been a huge Dylan fan. I respect him, what he's done and stuff, but I've never really been I've never really connected too much with his sound, I guess. He's more of a poet, it's all about, for him, the words, the poetry. And, me, I can block out words. I'm kind of listening to the music and the overall production, so that's probably why. No, nothing about Bob. It's me. But that's cool. I think he's awesome. I think he is a huge part of rock history, I guess, if you will, from folk to rock. No, Peter, I've not heard of that. Oh, AJ, I heard Elon said Trump wouldn't have won without his help. No, I think Elon was talking about the $100 plus $200 million he donated to Trump and Republicans. So I don't think that was an implication of a rigged election. I think Elon was just being all narcissistic, saying, hey, you wouldn't have won without me. That's a total narcissist move, by the way. Like, you owe me. I did this crap for you. You owe me something. It's that, you see that all the time with narcs. Like, how could you say something bad about me? How I gave you something, you know? So I think that's what that was. But I hope you're right. I hope there's I hope it wasn't rigged, but if it was, I think I would really want the truth to come out, right? If there was some kind of untrue thing going on. For me, like 60s and 70s guitar and harmonica, Neil Young, that's my guy instead of Bob Dylan. Not to say we have to have a fight between the two or anything like that, but yeah, Neil's more my style. He plays in such a melodic way. In fact, I've told Angie many times, like, when I hear Neil playing guitar, Neil Young, I relate because he uses the kinds of chords and chord changes, the kind of moods I use all the time. It's just like hearing, something just natural to me. I don't have to wonder, like, wow, what kind of change was that? What kind of chords? I just know them. They're just natural kinds of stuff I play. And yeah, man, he's got that longing voice that's so sad sometimes. Clapton too does harmonica. I don't remember that in any Clapton. Anyway, Timothy Chalamet has played Bob Dylan. Are you serious? Has that out yet, or is it going to come out? Huh? That sounds interesting. I could see his look kind of pulling it off, sort of. Timothy's probably a little too tall and traditionally good looking, I guess. Not to say Bob, he's got a weird trippy look. It works for him. He looks like Bob Dylan, it works. But yeah, Timothy Chalamet looks like it could be a model maybe or something, Well, he was nominated for an Oscar. Wow, I wonder if it's out on any streaming services. You love Neil Young? Awesome, AJ. I love Neil Young too. And he's going to play again? Are you going to see him again this summer? Sarah, that's awesome that he comes through your town. That sucks. I'd love to go see Neil Young again. I just don't want to see him in like the typical kinds, like the venues he'd be playing, these big, crazy venues that he'd be playing out here. Because we live in a major population center. The LA metropolitan area is probably like 20 million people or some crazy amount like that. So it's hard. That's why I want to live somewhere smaller where you don't have to fight humanity to go do fun things. Okay, it's on streaming now. Cool. I'll mention that to Angie because, yeah, she likes Timothy Chalamet. Not like likes him. She doesn't want to do him or anything like that, but she's intrigued by his skills. Okay, you would recommend it. All right, awesome. Oh, what's the name of it again, Peter? Let's see. Complete Unknown. All right, cool. We'll take a look. You wish Neil Young was vegan. Yeah, well, yeah, I wish too. It's hard, yeah, when so many music people that I respect, both from my past and people I'm liking now, they're not vegan. So, at least they're making good music. I can appreciate that. But yeah, Complete Unknown. Okay, cool. Oh, it's on Disney Plus? Yeah, we got that right now. Awesome. Cool. I'll tell Angie. Maybe we'll watch that tonight. I didn't know that was on there. Huh. Okay, the same guy who made the Johnny Cash movie. Awesome. That's what Walk the Line was. That was the Johnny Cash one, right? Joaquin Phoenix. Force lightning cable. Humans have a gene that lets you digest meat protein? Well, yeah, just because our bodies are capable of consuming meat protein without it getting stuck. Well, I take that back. I hear of many people who eat a ton of meat, particularly people on the carnivore diet, and they often complain about how they don't poop all that much, like maybe once a week or so. And when they do, it's a long, drawn out, excruciating process. As opposed to, say, when I poop a couple times a day, these little fluffy floaters pop out, spray it with a bidet. I'm in and out in like 10 seconds, as opposed to 10 agonizing minutes or anything like that. Neil is married to Daryl Hannah? Shit, I didn't know that. And she's vegan? Trip out. Cool. But, yeah, I don't know if that's a good argument for lightning capable that we're capable of eating meat without dying or being completely constipated just because we can survive on meat. That's not like, what's weird about consuming meat is what happens with consuming meat is that, we don't need to consume animals. We were talking about this before. Maybe in the past humans needed to, so we don't need to do some kind of like, appeal to nature or ancestors kind of argument or thought experiment. The thing is, we don't have to consume animals now because we can go to stores, restaurants, bodegas, farmers markets, you name it, and buy plants pretty much around the clock. So that's why consuming animals is weird, because vegans are against animal cruelty and exploitation. Drink up. I show the definition and ring the bell. Drink up. So given that it's unnecessary to kill animals, and because we can eat plants, and the fact that to kill animals, you're killing an animal, you're killing a sentient being. First of all, you're breeding it into existence for the sole point of it being exploited its entire life to be used as a product as food, or not even for humans. Most a lot of I was thinking plants are fed to livestock. But anyway, my point is, breed an animal into existence to be exploited and slaughtered needlessly. We can eat plants. To me, that's weird. Why would you want to have an animal die for you when you couldn't? If you had the choice, which you do, it's not a thought experiment. This is reality here. If you had the choice, as you do, to choose, do I need animals to be killed for me pretty much on a daily basis so I can live, or I can just eat plants instead? I don't need animals to be bred into existence and slaughtered so I can have a hamburger or steak when I can eat all these delicious plant foods, like, say, all this great stuff in the Happy Healthy Vegan Cookbook here. Animals are not being slaughtered and exploited to make all these delicious meals here. They're healthy. We're still alive. Good blood tests and all that stuff. So anyway, that's my point about how it's weird. Like, I think it's weird to intentionally want animals to die for you, sentient beings to die for you when they don't need to have that happen to them. To me, that's really weird. Oh, okay. Thanks for sharing that late model. So Neil Young, we're talking about, was with his first wife, Peg, for decades. He broke up with her, then she got cancer and died. Sad. Wow. Now he's married to Daryl Hannah. Wow, that's crazy. You guys remember Daryl Hannah, 80s actress? Dr. Faker says, pooping is bad. It's just funny. They just turn it around. Like, I've never heard any medical doctors or organizations say, yeah, you shouldn't poop that much because you're releasing your nutrients. It sounds like some weird shit like fruitarians would say or something like that. They're kind of similar in their misinformation because you're pooping out all your nutrients. No, they've already passed through. This is called waste. I mean, if poop are that nutrient great for you, is Dr. Faker advocating to eat your poop? Because there's nutrients in it, right? You should want it to go back in you, or should you put it back into your butt? So this is getting too graphic. I should pivot away from this line of reasoning because this is going to get me banned from YouTube. Like, Howling, are you having a fight with AJ? Because please don't. What's going on? Do you have a question for me? Because if you're fighting with people right now, I'm going to put you in timeout, even though I'm going to be going pretty soon. So I'm just telling you right now, I don't want you fighting with AJ or anyone. everyone in the comments, even you, Howling, this is a sanctuary. It's a safe place, a place where you're not going to get attacked and bullied and shit like that. I have zero tolerance, so please, let's not fight anymore. If we're having some kind of political discussion, let's just end it right now. Everyone, I know you're talking to other people too. Let's just move on from any political fights. Please, all right? I'm asking you very kindly. Okay, if you're having fun, great. I'm glad you're having fun, but let's end that fun right now, okay? let's move on to another kind of fun, all right? You got me? Wow, Daryl Hannah was vegan even back in like when she made Splash, like in the 80s? Wow, the lobster was not real and Daryl didn't eat it? Interesting. Huh, I had no idea she's been like vegan or at least plant-based that long. I have no idea. I'll look into that if I can remember. So anyway, interesting. Thanks for sharing that with me, guys. I learned something new pretty much every live stream. Sometimes it's not good stuff, but this is an interesting, good thing here. So thank you so much. And wow, it is exactly now, as I say this, 3, 2, 1, 2 hours since I hit go live on my streaming software. So I guess this is a good time to go off into the night and send you guys off into your evening. So I want to thank you all for your super chat tips there. Peter and Late Model and Hardly Tin Man Adonis and AJ and Jordan. I'm going to take the $5 Sarah gave me plus the $1 from Peter and add 3/4 of my own and get me and Angie the oat milk latte with the $1 vegan tax added to it. Just buy one because we don't want to reward them for taxing vegans. So I'm going to try to do that tomorrow because we haven't been able to go for like maybe a week or two. So I'm going to try to make a point tomorrow. Hopefully my mom's cool. I've handled, everything's cool. And I'll spend some time with Angie. So, yeah, Peter, cool. I'm glad you ordered it. We sold 2 shirts tonight. I'll let Angie know that. Yeah, get another. Vegan doesn't suck being vegan shirt. I'm glad you wore it out. That means you're wearing it, representing that doesn't suck being vegan. Let's see. So, as far as next week, Peter, keep sending me some more video ideas. I don't want to make any more videos about Ali Tabrizi. I think I've said all I need to. Even though I didn't cover that part where he said it's cool to catch fish. I'm tempted to go down that road, but I think I want to move on and make some other content now. I don't think I need to keep dragging him around anymore. So anyway, so send me some more videos, Peter, and you probably have sent me some. I haven't looked at my Instagram, so I will take a look to see what you sent me. But if you see anything else of interest, the kind of thing I can sink my teeth into and do my critical thinking breakdown response, that's the best kind. All right, guys, so thanks for being here with me on your Friday nights. Again, it's always a pleasure for me to hang and chill with y'all and, just talk about all sorts of stuff, vegan and otherwise, but we try to keep it vegans focused. So I'm glad everyone's here tonight. Good to see you, Bill. I'm glad you're doing great. And if you came late, remember, we start whatever time it is right now, subtract 2 hours. We do this every Friday. And now that summer is here, I'll try to do some just random midweek live streams earlier in the day for our European people. So you guys don't have to stay up and get all insomniaed out just to spend a little time with me. All right, guys. So thanks so much. If you haven't already, let me put a link to the Chillin' with Love Spirals podcast. It was good to see a lot of you guys there on the premiere. Was it day before yesterday? So let me put the link down there. Chillin' with Love Spirals. It was good to see a lot of you guys there. A lot of you guys were able to make it, and that was awesome to see a lot of you guys there. But yeah, it was a cool episode. We described how we made Boss Mode, our latest single, which is doing really well, by the way. The streams keep going up, the shares and playlists keep more and more keep getting added to. So I just put a link down to the podcast so you can learn more about what goes on in here when I'm not bagging on some anti-vegan jerk or something like that. We really do make a lot of music in this room, and we're going to make a lot more for you guys too. So all right, guys, thanks so much. Always good again to see you guys. Thank you, my 2 moderators, Peter and Uncle. We had our work cut out for us a little bit tonight, but yeah, still was pretty chill. Probably thanks to you guys helping me out, my moderators. So thanks thanks everyone. Thanks moderators, and thanks Happy Fam for keeping supporting us, and just everyone for watching our videos and commenting and sharing your time and thoughts here with me. I appreciate that. So until next time, remember, doesn't suck being vegan. Bye guys, much love.